welcome to episode 16 of Two Dudes a Movie. I am Luke Parrish.
I'm AJ Ferguson.
And I'm Paul Tabling.
All right, so let's get right into it. What have we been watching this week?
So I watched a movie called Reservoir Dogs because of the Tarantino episode from last week. I'd never seen Reservoir Dogs, so I watched that. Callie and I watched Harry Potter 3 and 4.
Prisoner of Azkaban and The Goblet of Fire.
Yep. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was okay. Not great movies. I've read the books this summer, and so
the books are better. I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Been watching Last Chance U. If you're a football fan,
yeah,
and you want to get in the mood for football season.
New season
is awesome. Mm-hmm. It's been fun, and then still watching the Goldbergs. So
heck yeah.
We watched a movie last night called Annihilation that you talked about.
Yes, I've been patiently waiting to hear what you thought because it's a strange one.
So my dad, my sister, me, and Callie, and actually Winston for a while, were watching this movie, and we had no idea that it was like a sci-fi horror film.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like the first hour is like fun, and there's a couple of like jump scare moves, like classic like sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's this friggin' scene where they're in this cabin, and it's literally pitch black, and this like mutated bear with like a skull for a head and like almost no flesh on like the skull walks in and starts like eating people and like throwing them around the room. People start shooting them, and the whole time the bear is like mimicking like human sounds and noises.
He's mimicking the girl he got earlier. Yeah, her screams.
What?
It's like so janked up.
It's
and
terrifying.
We were literally all like and we like paused it right after that scene ended, and we like turned all the lights on and went and got popcorn. Taking a break.
Had to
take a breather after that. Was stressful.
Up until that point, I thought the movie was like really, really good. Like the setup was really interesting, and then obviously like from that point on, I felt like, which I think we agreed, it got like super duper weird.
It was after. So I really enjoyed, as terrifying as that bear scene was. That was like the most like creeped out / scared I've felt watching a movie in a while.
Oh, no doubt. For me, 100%.
Yeah. So I mean, I after that part, I enjoyed it. Like up until that point. Yeah, after that point, I enjoyed it.
I totally agree. I think the climax was like way too out there for me. A lot of people really liked it apparently online. I like read a bunch of articles last night before I went to bed.
Yeah.
And people were talking about how artistic it was, and I was like, artistic doesn't mean that it was like well done.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a legit like ending for it or something, but like yeah, like you said, I checked out like probably 5 different articles, and they're like, it has to do with her feelings and it mimics her this.
So it's gonna be like the next cult movie.
So I read an article where the entire movie was like a metaphor for cancer. And I was I was literally like, I don't buy that at all. So I read probably 3 different articles that all had multiple theories in each article, and none of them were the same.
Yeah. So I mean,
it was an interesting movie. Yeah. If you want to give it a watch, it's about an hour and a half, hour 45, I think. It's on Amazon Prime. It's Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
So it's pretty well done, but it's just like it's
a cool concept. Like the whole idea of the shimmer and what it does is just like. Would you say you enjoyed it? Just the ending was a little out there for you?
No, I totally enjoyed the first like hour 15, like all the setup and then like getting to the shimmer and like, even the alligator was cool and like some of the plant stuff was cool, and her like backstory and all that stuff was cool, and the flashback scenes with like her in the like weird room with the doctors like interrogating her.
Yeah,
that was like super cool. But then like literally when they got to the lighthouse, I was just like literally we were all 4 of us were looking at each other just like, what is happening? And it just kept getting weirder and weirder, and we were like, it ended, and we were like,
what?
Okay,
interesting. I'm gonna have to check it out.
You'll have to watch it for sure. It was okay. I mean, I think it got like a 6 point something on IMDb. It's too high. I would probably give it like a 4.
How would you rate it?
Here, I'll look it up real quick.
I'd probably give it a 4 or 5.
No, I mean as your level of like own it.
Oh, I would never watch it again. I wouldn't pay $1 to watch it again.
So yeah, it's got.
It's on Amazon Prime. So
critically, it's done very well. 87% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like general like audience watcher and stuff. It's got like you said, like 6.9 and like 77% liked it on Google.
I think it's a cool idea. It's based on a book series, so I don't know how much of the book series they like crammed into one movie.
I gotcha.
So they might have done that.
Yeah, so it was pretty loosely based, I think.
But it was bizarre. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen. like on film.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
interesting.
Literally, they didn't explain any of it. Like they just
That's
like
so
left
weird.
it all open ended, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I didn't get it, and I don't think anybody I saw it with got it. So.
I think everyone should watch it. It's just you don't feel like you have to watch it more than once.
Don't go into it expecting great things because you'll be disappointed. But if you're looking for like a fun, interesting, like weird-ish movie just for fun to watch, like it's not a bad option for you.
Yeah, great concept.
If you got 2 hours to watch a movie.
Which we do.
Yeah, which we do all the time.
Always.
That's all I got for me that I've been watching. Paul, what you been watching?
Yeah, so again, I was out of town for a completely different camp this time. Watched a lot of TV shows actually on the bus ride there. I'm trying to finish up. Well, not finish up. I'm trying to watch through all of the CW DC shows.
Nice, yeah. Which
Like
ones are you
The
watching?
Flash. I'm trying to watch them like in order of the like release date. So
okay.
like I'm on season. I just finished season. What is it? 3 or 4 of Arrow and season 1 of Flash.
3 or 4 of Arrow's some rough stuff. I think.
I do enjoy it. I like just from watching the first couple of seasons of Arrow, like he's become one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's cool. I think season 4 is pretty rough. Season 5 is awesome.
Okay. I've heard that, a buddy of mine said I have to watch him because he's a huge superhero fan also. But I'm also going to, I think, after this season, so I would watch the next season of Arrow. I'd be watching the next season of Flash. And I think also DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's good.
Throw that one in there. And I'm just like, man, this is a lot of content.
Are you a Gotham fan?
I watched all of Gotham.
I like Gotham
I finished
a lot.
that.
That's the only DC show I've watched.
Where you at in Flash?
I'll start season 2 when I...
Man, the first 2 seasons of that show are awesome.
Man,
Flash
the way
is
this
great.
one ended, like, it's a super cliffhanger. First season of Flash,
Yeah.
where he's, like, running up into the wormhole, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the
It's some
crap?
pretty great stuff. But man, the later seasons of Flash, whew,
Pretty rough?
Yikes.
Okay.
It's like the writing just gets worse and worse. Like
Yeah, see, I'm not sure if I'll actually follow through to the end.
I quit watching.
I was gonna say, I've really enjoyed Arrow. I may watch just Arrow and like the crossover events.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I
That's
feel
all
like
I
I'm
watch.
leading to, because I've heard Supergirl's really not that great. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
I just saw the poster for that, and I was like, no.
yeah. So I'm also still, again, with being gone, still haven't quite finished Stranger Things. I think we've got 2 episodes left. We're gonna try and knock out this weekend.
Well, maybe you can finally listen to our episode then.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Spoiler.
And then last, the only movie I've watched this week, I actually watched on the bus ride home, was Endgame. I watched.
Yeah?
Did you watch the new version? I guess you probably couldn't have watched the new version yet. Like
What do you mean?
the extended one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
yeah,
re-release or whatever.
No, it was just the digital release that
Yeah.
came out on Tuesday or whatever
Great
on
movie.
iTunes.
Is that your number 1 movie of all time?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
all day long.
You and a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Don't blame you. Great movie.
It's gonna be hard to knock that out of first, man.
For you, yeah.
I think for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Give it another 10 years, see what
I think
they
it'll
come up
only.
with.
Right.
I think honestly, it'll only get more like nostalgic the further away from it we get. Like we're sitting in like the really weird position of that's a great movie and it was awesome, but like we're not really appreciating it yet.
I've appreciated
I
it
think-
4 times, so.
I think, but like what I'm saying is like in general, like people don't appreciate it as much as we should. And so I think
gotcha.
it'll be really interesting to see like 5-10 years from now, like how
Yeah.
that movie is
Where it's
talked
at.
about compared to like Avatar. Like when Avatar came out, it was the best thing ever.
Right.
No, it
10 years
sucks.
later, it's like it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People have that opinion of Batman Begins. I mean, I was listening to some people talk the other day. They're like, man, I think it's like top tier like superhero movie because like I remember like when it originally came out, people were like, oh, this is like a cool Batman movie. But then like The Dark Knight came out and they're like, ooh, now that's
is
a
better.
cool
Right.
Batman movie.
Right.
And so I got kind of thrown by the wayside there for a little bit. And it's
I
really
thought about including Batman Begins as in one of my most underrated movies list of last week.
Yeah.
Because I think that movie's really underappreciated.
Oh man, there was some movie I was
could've
thinking about the
been
other day that you always talk about a lot. That I was like, oh, The Dark Knight Rises.
I love The Dark Knight Rises.
There's a lot of people don't like that.
I
movie.
know.
That's very true.
I know. It's really hot. It's a really hot topic because Dark Knight is like so widely loved.
Yeah.
And Dark Knight Rises is usually like pushed to the brink. Yeah.
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 I love Dark Knight Rises. I'll defend that movie forever.
We'll do hot takes top 5 hot takes.
Top 5 AJ's hot takes.
Ragnarok. Ragnarok
sucks. Dark Knight Rises is awesome.
Episode 3. Those are my 3 biggest hot takes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, which we agree on 2 of those. You don't really like Dark Knight Rises, though.
I like the Dark Knight Rises.
Not
I don't.
as much.
I mean, like
Not as much as you. Yeah.
I think it's in my top 5.
yeah, it's my.
Honestly,
Yeah. I can't remember what I ranked it last time when we ranked those Batman movies, but I think if so, it's
good.
changed. It's my number 3 Batman because it's the second spot.
I like that.
All right, but I'll give you my what I've watched real
go
quick.
for it.
Yeah.
So I watched. I mentioned this to you guys before we started talking, just because I wanted to say it earlier. But I watched the Truman Show with Jim Carrey for the first time.
That's crazy. It was the first time to see that movie.
Yeah,
It's been around for a long
it's
time.
one of those.
In the 90s, I think. Early 2000s.
Yeah,
I think it's early
90s.
2000. Oh, is it? Okay.
I think it's the 90s. Yeah, fact check me real quick. But no, like, I really enjoyed watching it. Like, I know it's a super weird concept and everything, but it was because it was
98.
so 98.
Hey, I was 3 years old.
Yeah, catch me.
We were
up.
3 years old then.
Yeah. It was just so different than anything else I've seen, I think, is why I enjoyed it so much. Like,
And it's a unique role for him.
Yeah, the first real serious movie that I can think of that he did.
you see a little bit of his Jim Carrey-ness come out every once in a while, and that's something
Right.
Danielle said to me while she's watching. She's there. She's like, "There's the crazy Jim Carrey I know," and it's
Yeah.
like, but no, I liked him in the movie a lot. I thought it's a interesting concept. You said it was based on a book, right, by
Yeah.
George Orwell.
It's
Loosely.
based on
Yeah.
1984 by George Orwell. Just the basic whole Big Brother complex of like somebody's watching him and and there's one guy who slowly starts to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's what made it so fun, was him figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, this is cool. But no, like, I'm glad I finally got a chance to watch it, because I hear people talk about it all the time. It's just
Right.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, 8.1 on IMDb, 94 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Jesus,
94 is pretty high.
that is super high.
That's
yeah,
pretty good, though.
No, it was, the way it was shot was cool. Like, everything's like, you're watching it through all hidden cameras like the whole time.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was just cool. I've gotten these movies, I think I mentioned it last week, or maybe I mentioned to someone talking this week, but movies like seeing that recently, and then watching like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, all these like more like original movie concepts is so refreshing compared to like I love watching all these Marvel movies and everything, but it's so refreshing to see an original movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys want to jump into our top fives?
Yeah, let's do it. I think we'll have pretty similar lists, not necessarily like in the same order or anything, but I think what we can do is we can all just read our lists and then talk about them all like collectively. How's that sound?
Okay. Yeah.
Like all of our movies at once, or are you doing do like all of our number fives and then all
No,
of our...
like all like I just read my list. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, okay.
And then we talk about the similar ones, and then that if there are differences,
Okay.
that person goes over them. Yeah, that's cool.
Let's start this off, AJ.
So my two honorable mentions for first of all, our top five for this week is spy movies, which is kind of a loose category depending on what you consider.
Depends
a spy
on who
movie.
you are.
For my two honorable mentions, I put in Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Nice.
Like I said, I don't know if that
Okay.
counts as a spy movie per se. That's why it's on my honorable mentions list, because it's not.
Well, weren't they working for like the CIA or something? That's kind of how I classified
And
it.
they were code breaking like the Nazis, like super secret messages or whatever.
Yeah.
My second one is Red. The original Red with Bruce Willis.
All the old people.
All the old people. That's a great movie. So my five are number 5, Allied with Brad Pitt.
Oh, nice.
Number
That's a good
4,
one.
Man from U.N.C.L.E, the movie we just watched.
Wow.
Really?
Number 3, Mission Impossible 3. The one where the crazy villain guy who actually died not that long ago.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Great actor.
He was an arms dealer or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget the scene that he gets like hit by a missile on the bridge and just like jumps up and like is okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Number 2 is Skyfall. I love that movie. It's my favorite James Bond movie.
Nice.
And then number 1 is the Bourne Ultimatum.
I figured. Yeah.
Yep.
Love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever, but for me, it's my favorite spy movie.
Yeah.
Great
No,
movie.
makes total sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
Paul, you can go.
Yeah, so my honorable mentions are a movie called True Lies It's an old 90s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I figure neither one of you guys have seen that.
Nope.
Another Arnold Jim Cameron movie.
More of a kindergarten cop kind of guy, but you know.
Right. I also had Red as an honorable mention.
Yes.
Nice.
I love both of those movies.
I love both of them. I debated which one to put in. I like the first one.
The first one's better. And then my other honorable mention, just because it's a comedy, is Austin Powers.
Nice. I can appreciate that.
Well done.
Like not worthy of the top 5, but worthy of an honorable mention.
Yeah.
But number 5 for me is actually Bourne Identity.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That's
Love
my
that one.
favorite of all the Bourne movies.
Really? I love that one, too.
And then 4 is Hunt for Red October.
Okay, yeah.
I like that movie a lot.
Which is it's Alec Baldwin, but it's the Jack Ryan character.
and Sean Connery, right?
Yep, Sean Connery's in that movie as
Great
well.
movie.
Yeah,
The Submarine.
Yep, submarine movie.
Love that one.
And then Mission Impossible 2
Ooh.
is my favorite one.
I like that one.
Mainly for a lot of the different action sequences, but also a really cool concept of like a bioweapon.
Yeah.
That's the motorcycle one.
Yeah, the motorcycle
and
chase
the,
at the
and
end.
the long hair.
Oh yeah,
Vintage
it's funny.
Tom Cruise
It's
with the
funny
long hair.
how his hair alternates. One
Yeah.
movie it's short, the next movie it's
He
long,
looks
the
like
next
the
movie it's
samurai.
short.
In that
Yeah.
movie.
The lot from The Last Samurai. Yeah.
It's the same hairstyle.
And then number 2 for me is a movie called The Recruit. It's got Al Pacino as like a CIA trainer, and oh my gosh, what's the actor's name?
Robert De Niro. You're talking about Heat.
I feel like those guys are in the same movie together all the time.
It's Colin Farrell. Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he's like an incoming CIA agent.
How old is this movie?
It's from 2003,
Okay.
but it's a great movie. I think one of Pacino's best roles, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then number 1 for me is Dr. No, the original James Bond.
I thought you were going to go there with the old throwback James
Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah.
I kind of look at it as like, I mean, I could have thrown any of those movies into probably any spot on this top 5.
GoldenEye or anything?
Oh, GoldenEye for sure could have been my number 1, but I really thought I was like,
So what's your favorite Daniel Craig?
well, favorite Daniel Craig is Skyfall.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
I love
for
Skyfall.
sure.
I love that movie. It was
Spectre
awesome.
was also good.
I like Spectre. It got a lot of heat from a lot of people, but I like that movie.
I liked all the callbacks because the way they did Spectre was kind of the way they did Endgame of it was basically for the fans because
Yeah.
there was so much fan callback to the old movies.
Right, yeah.
So, but yeah, I had to
Solid.
throw Dr. No in there just because of first Bond movie, first Sean Connery appearance.
For sure.
Great bad guy, great Bond girl, just classic.
I can
Solid.
feel it, man.
So
Oh, yeah, my turn.
Go ahead,
So
Luke.
I have 0 honorable mentions.
Okay.
But my number 5 is a movie by Batfleck, Argo.
I had Argo
I
on
did
my
have-
list for a
I
while,
did too.
and I kicked it out.
That's
for
a good one,
for
man.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. kicked it out.
So I watched this one in 2012 when it originally came out.
yeah,
I feel like too young at the time to really conceptualize what was going on in the movie. But then I watched it again. At first I was like, I have no clue what went on in that movie. And I watched it again. I was like, oh, this is pretty stinking good. And that's
Yep.
why it got so critically acclaimed. If I remember,
it won Best Picture, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah. Check me on that. But my number 4 is The Bourne Identity. So I agree with you on that one, Paul.
Yeah.
My number 3 is MI3, Mission Impossible 3.
Great movie.
Yeah, that's the one you had on your list.
I love that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Mhm.
My number 2 is Kingsman,
Okay, so I had Kingsman, the original Kingsman,
the first one. Yeah,
the first one. I had that one on my list as well, and then got kicked off.
that one's
I love that movie.
that one.
You have that one like really high on your top.
It's
25.
one of my definite top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen those. I need to watch them, especially with the new one coming out.
You should,
They're
yeah.
pretty good. The first one's better than the second.
The first one's really good. The second one's good, not great.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And then the third one is The King's Man, which we saw the trailer for that, which looked really cool.
That did look pretty cool with Ray Fiennes.
Yeah. That one, I'm super pumped for that one. My number 1 is Skyfall. Kingsman would have been my number 1, but I was like, I don't know. Skyfall just does it for me, and it was
I love
just
Skyfall.
that spy on spy action.
Yeah.
And I think
the villain in that movie is just so good.
He's creepy.
He's so good.
You're concerned for everyone.
And him going back home is really cool.
Yeah.
That whole fight scene in the
whole
house
Home Alone like thing with the traps.
And they go out
and the old man,
and they go to the old church and
the old caretaker of the house.
Yeah.
They pull up the classic Bond car and everything for it. That's so cool.
That's a great movie.
So one we all had on our list. I think it's
we all either had a Bond movie, we all had a Mission Impossible movie, and we all had a Bourne movie.
Yeah.
So okay, we can all agree that those are the three best like spy.
Those are
series.
just like the series for spies.
So for me, you guys are gonna say James Bond is better. For me, Jason Bourne is a better series, I guess, but there's 3 versus 24, 25,
20,
something like that.
Yeah, 25. There's actually 4 Jason Bourne. Well, 5 if you count the Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the newest Jason Bourne movie. Man, I watched it a couple extra times. The same girl from Man from U.N.C.L.E. is in that movie.
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, and
it's okay.
After I've watched it a couple of times, I'm like, this isn't it. I mean, maybe not the worst one, but yeah, not my favorite.
The newest
I like
Jason Bourne.
I like the one with Hawkeye in it.
Oh, Bourne Legacy.
The Bourne Legacy. I liked that one.
Who's the girl in that one? I can't remember.
Rachel Weisz.
Okay, yeah. That's
from
right.
Mummy.
Yeah,
that one was okay.
And it's Jeremy Renner who's Hawkeye.
So, would you guys say Bond 1, Bourne 2, Mission Impossible 3?
I would definitely say Bond 1 for sure. I was a huge fan of. I think it's mainly because it came out first. Mm-hmm. I really like the Mission Impossible movies.
Well, that hit you more when you were
right. That was more my age.
Bourne was like coming out when we were like 10, 15, right in there somewhere.
I don't think any of us have seen the like 2 newest Mission Impossible movies.
That's true. I haven't seen them.
I haven't seen the newest one. But I've seen the one. Fallout. I have all of the other ones.
Okay, yeah.
What is it?
I love the original trilogy.
It's Ghost Protocol, then it's something, and then it's
Rogue
Fallout.
Nation.
Rogue Nation.
That one actually is really good because I like that they bring back, because that was one of my points of having Mission Impossible 2. I really like the introduction of Ving Rhames. And he's in Rogue Nation also. Right. And so I really liked Rogue Nation because it's like a culmination of, it's kind of like also what they're doing with the Fast and Furious movies. It's like every person that's been in a Fast and Furious movie, well, they did Mission Impossible, every person is in that movie.
Interesting.
I like that. But
it sounds cool.
Yeah, we definitely need to watch Fallout, I think.
Yeah.
Would you say is the biggest surprise on all 3 lists?
For me, I was surprised that I put Allied on my list. I really liked that movie.
That's one I forgot about, but that's a good movie. That's a good Brad Pitt movie.
Callie and I watched that together, and we both were like, dang, great movie. I don't know. Have you seen
I've never seen that one.
It's on Prime.
I think it's on. I think I have it on my Prime list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really, really good.
Heartbreaking.
It is. It is sad and dramatic, and you have no idea who's who and who's crossing who the entire time.
Mm-hmm. And it's set in World War II? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's Brad Pitt is a Canadian spy working for the Americans, and
Marion Cotillard or whatever, however you said her name is
from all the Nolan movies.
She's in all the Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah.
She's a French spy.
That wouldn't surprise me because she's French.
I think she's French, and they meet up in like Italy somewhere.
Okay.
Or Germany somewhere, and they become like partners.
Okay.
And they end up falling in love and getting married. Oh. And it's nuts, dude. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's really good.
I want to check it out. It's just
great.
Not enough hours in the day.
I was surprised you put Red on your list. I like Red a lot.
Oh, man. I
love those movies.
I like them for... It's the great combo of action and comedy.
Oh,
because you've got... Bruce Willis is
John
good.
Malkovich.
John Malkovich.
So funny.
He steals
so
those
good.
movies.
I haven't seen these movies.
You gotta watch them, dude. They are so good. Like they're actually really fun.
Yeah.
Super fun movies. They're
actually based on a comic too. I can't remember if it's
yeah. That's right.
I think it's a DC comic.
Is it like
Morgan Freeman's in there?
Morgan Freeman is
Helen
in there.
Mirren's in there.
Right.
The Russian guy who plays a Russian and everything is in there.
Yeah.
He's actually American.
I know, but he plays a Russian in everything.
He's in the Bourne movies too.
He's in the Bourne movies.
Yeah.
He's in a bunch of different stuff. He's great.
Yeah, it's based on a DC comic.
Yeah,
those are great movies. I liked it. And then, what's his name is the villain? He's like the CIA guy who's like hunting them the whole time.
Oh yeah,
Éomer. That's all I can think of right now.
Gosh,
he plays Éomer and
usually Carl Urban.
Oh yeah.
He's the
great.
other
He's great.
side, like
At one
quote unquote bad guy.
At one point, Bruce Willis is in a hand-to-hand fight with Carl Urban, and Carl Urban's like, or Bruce Willis is like, "Who trained you?" And he like says a name, and he's like, "Oh, I trained that guy."
and it's like right as he breaks his arm,
like,
too.
He says like, he's like, "Oh, he says, oh, it's Polanski." And he's like, "Oh, I trained Polanski," and goes, breaks his arm.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
It's a great movie.
I love
Both
that.
of those are great movies. I was surprised that Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Made it onto your list.
I liked that movie a lot.
Okay.
And
I was surprised it was on your list.
I put it up there.
So cool.
I liked it.
Literally
man.
just watched that movie.
Well, so I just bumped everything down a spot.
Okay.
What'd you bump off though?
The one that you said,
Kingsman.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I had Kingsman, and I had one that you said actually too. And I decided to go for two honorable
Dr.
mentions.
No.
Red October.
No. Was it one you said? I forget.
I said Argo.
That's what
Argo?
it was. I had Argo. Argo was like my third honorable mention.
Okay.
And then Kingsman was my,
I got you.
third and second. They both bumped down.
Argo did win Best Picture.
Yeah,
It
Argo
did.
was really good. That's a good movie too.
And I think
Yeah.
he won Best Director for that too. Also.
Yeah, that was his like directorial debut, was it?
Yeah,
He's
No?
directed other things like,
killed it.
but this was his best for sure.
Oh, okay. No, I was surprised I had that on my list because like I was sitting there, I was thinking of movies, and I got through like 1 through 4. I was like, man, what's a? I was like just looked up a list of like spy movies. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I've seen Argo. Like, how could I like miss that? And
I watched Argo on an airplane from like I think it was from Brussels back here, or maybe here to Brussels, but I was on the airplane, and it was awesome. I remember.
No, it's a.
I love the side characters in that movie too,
Yeah.
like John Goodman and is it Alan Arkin in that movie? The
Alan
other
Arkin's
old
in that
guy.
movie.
That's a true story.
Alan
too,
Arkin's
right?
in Red. I forgot about that. No, he's in Get Smart.
He's in Get Smart.
I get those
Yeah.
confused. Yeah. You guys have any surprises on either of our lists or on your own list?
Mine was just the Man from U.N.C.L.E. for you. Like that one. I was
I
like,
liked it a lot. Like the more I thought about it, the higher the scores got.
yeah, no, that was which of course we're gonna talk about it here in a minute. But like that's cool. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you have any surprises, Paul?
not really. I mean, again, kind of looking up the list just to remember, because not all of these movies do I own, but I love. I really completely forgot about the Jack Ryan movies. Because I love Clear and Present Danger. I love Hunt for Red October. The newer ones are kind of iffy. I haven't actually watched the TV show, but I want to watch
It's
that.
pretty good with John Krasinski.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard it's good.
They had a Chris Pine movie come out, a Jack Ryan one.
It was
a few years
okay.
ago.
Have you seen the TV
'Cause,
show?
Kevin Costner was in there.
That's what we were just
No.
saying with John Krasinski.
No, yeah, the TV show.
Yeah, I haven't
Is that what
watched
y'all
it
talking
yet.
about? Sorry,
Yeah,
I was.
the second season's coming out soon. I think.
Yeah, it looks cool. It
Yeah,
looks like a
it
good show.
definitely looks cool. So
Okay. Anybody else got anything to say on the rotating segment?
No. Good movie. Good
Sweet.
selection of movies, my dudes.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun top 5 to do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's almost a subsection inside of like action
yeah,
or even
That's
whatever you
it's
want.
very true.
It's
yeah,
a very specific section.
'Cause you
And
said
there's
it's
been a
hard to
lot of-
classify it.
There's been a lot of good movies made
Yeah.
in that section. So, okay, so Man from U.N.C.L.E. is our movie this week, and actually for the first time ever on the podcast, we literally just watched it. Together, and now we're about to talk about it. We've never done that before. We've watched them together before, and then we talked about them later, but we've never done it back to back before. So this is going to be fun.
No, it's
Really, really fresh on the memory.
Yeah.
we just wrote down the show notes while we were watching it. I think like usually I sit down in like my chair at home and I'll just like sit there and like write down like what I liked, what I didn't like.
Yeah.
But no, that was cool. Paul, do you want to give us the rundown of the movie? Can you pull that up and read like the director, the how much it made, and
yeah, for sure.
all that? No, yeah, this movie here I actually have the DVD if you can. But yeah, it stars Henry Cavill, Armie Hammer of Alicia Vikander, and then it looks like there's room
I
for
forgot
another name,
Armie
but I don't see
Hammer was in that weird Johnny Depp movie.
The Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger.
That's the
Oh,
only
he was
thing
in
I.
the
That's where
cowboy?
he looked familiar from, and I was like,
Yeah.
I could not figure that out, and I looked it up after.
I didn't realize he was 6'5".
He's humongous,
Yeah. Like,
and he's
oh
a
my
great
gosh.
actor, man. He's really good.
Would he be your pick for Batman? If like since they were recasting him, they picked Robert Pattinson. Who would you pick as
I would
Batman?
pick him more than Robert Pattinson. That's for
No
sure.
kidding.
Who would just out of like side note real quick? Who'd you guys pick to be the new Batman?
I wanted Ben Affleck to stay as Batman.
I would have been cool with that. Yeah, I would have been cool with that.
Because I wanted to see an older Batman.
Yeah,
I
Russell
mean, I
Crowe.
feel like the oh my gosh,
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler wouldn't be bad either.
Gerard Butler,
But
or
his American accent isn't that great.
Yeah, that's true. Can you imagine Gerard Butler trying to do Christian Bale's?
Rachel,
Where's the Joker? Seriously, I probably wouldn't pick either of those guys. I might pick.
I feel like there are better actors than both of them.
Honestly,
Personally,
it's so hard to think. It's like
It is
who
really
would-
hard to
who would you
profile.
pick to-
Honestly,
Keanu Reeves.
Jake Gyllenhaal wouldn't be bad, but he's kind of too out there for me. You'd have to pick a guy who's not very well known to be Batman.
And I think that's kind of why they
Batman.
went back with Robert, like somebody like Robert
'Cause you-
Pattinson or Armie Hammer.
See, that's why Ben Affleck flopped, in my opinion, which we're way off topic. That's why he flopped, in my opinion, was because he was such a well-established actor
Yeah.
compared to Christian Bale was too, I guess, but those movies kind of
So you're
made him a
seeing
bigger deal.
you're seeing Ben Affleck
As Batman.
playing Batman
rather
or
than
as
Christian
Batman.
Bale just being Bruce Wayne. Mm.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
To
All
me,
right.
that's what I would
Yeah.
do. That's why, for me, that's like the Han Solo movie. They went and got like a pretty much nobody to do it.
Yeah.
Star
think-
Wars, they got Rey to be pretty much. She was pretty much a nobody before
that's
that.
her first movie. Yeah.
Right. So, like, to
Yeah.
me, if you're going to do a big like series rebrand, you got to pick a nobody.
It's more
to
believable,
carry
I think,
it.
that way.
Mhm.
But
That's why Shia LaBeouf, to me, never could have picked up the Indiana Jones franchise,
yeah, I
because
get
he's
it.
too.
Which they're
he's-
already filming the next one
Which-
with Harrison Ford.
Right, which I'm excited for, but to me, like that, like just as a basic principle, you have to have
yeah,
a relative.
Yeah.
Like
no, I
nobody.
like that. Yeah.
So I don't mind Armie Hammer doing it. That'd be actually pretty cool because he's not that well known.
yeah.
And he's humongous too. We noticed
that's
that during
crazy.
the movie. Okay, Paul, what you got?
All right. So, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Let's see. I'll read the little synopsis here. At the height of the Cold War, a mysterious criminal organization plans to use nuclear weapons and technology to upset the fragile balance of power between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. CIA agent Napoleon Solo, great name, by the way,
yeah.
and KGB agent Ilya, I'm not even going to try that one, I'm sorry, are forced to put aside their hostilities and work together to stop the evildoers in their tracks. The duo's only lead is the daughter of a missing German scientist whom they must find soon to prevent a global catastrophe.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
Who directed it? Guy Ritchie?
Guy Ritchie.
He's
Yeah,
awesome. Man.
that was I didn't
him
know
a-
that.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's grown on me. Like if we made a top 5 list of directors, he probably wouldn't be on that, but he
could be an honorable mention.
He'd be close,
Yeah.
man. For me,
He also did the screenplay with someone else, I think.
he wrote
right?
it. Yeah, some dude I never heard of before.
I'm going to have to search
How
a
much?
little bit
How
more
much
for
money
that
did
one.
it make?
All right, so the budget was 75 to 84 million, and at box office made 109.8 million.
Dang,
So it made money,
not much.
but not a whole lot. You
Like
know.
current Hollywood standards, that's
Yeah.
Not
not
much at
it's
all.
not a win.
Give us
Right.
the IMDb and Rotten Tomato.
So IMDb is 7.3 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes is 66.
That sounds about right for the money it made. I guess it's probably
Yeah.
too high for the money it made.
I don't know if I'd have rated it as a 66, but the 7.3 sounds about right to me.
I see this movie sitting into probably the mid 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
I think before we talk about the movie itself, I do think the movie was at a big disadvantage coming out when it came out because of all of the other movies that have been coming out. I mean, you got Marvel, you got Star Wars, you got
Yeah, it came out in
goodness,
2015.
you got all these other movies that have been coming out recently, and I think it just got lost in there.
Well, yeah, and it's like it's based on that 1960s TV show.
Yeah.
And so like it's and the
I-
TV show wasn't around that much. Wasn't around that long in the 60s.
4 years, yeah.
And so
I never even heard of this movie before.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, and so like that's how poorly they marketed it. So,
Yeah.
well,
which, like I said, it's
right.
partially because of Marvel and
Well, I think
Star
what
Wars.
they were trying to kind of do is, I think they kind of used this movie to maybe try and jumpstart Henry Cavill's career a little bit more, because
Yeah.
it seems like it came out.
Superman came out right about this time.
Okay, so
I think it came out after this movie came out after
Man of
Superman.
Steel.
listen to the movies that came out in 2015. What it had to compete with.
Yeah,
So, Ant-Man,
Look at Man of Steel.
Mad Max Fury Road,
ooh,
Inside Out, which
that's a good
The
movie.
children love.
Made a bunch of money.
The Martian,
Made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Made a bunch of money.
Jurassic World.
Made a
ton of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Creed.
That was a good one.
Did really
Yeah.
well.
The flop that was Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Ooh.
Garbage.
I wish I
Spectre.
never saw that movie.
I liked Spectre.
Spectre. Yep.
Hotel Transylvania. Fast and Furious 7.
Which also
Hateful
made a
Eight.
lot of movie.
Oh,
Sicario.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. That was just
Okay.
a loaded year
That
for
was a
like
big year.
big time movies.
That's crazy. When did Man of Steel come out? 13. Yeah.
13. Yeah. So 2 years.
So this was after.
And
But this was right as Batman vs Superman was coming out, wasn't it?
When did Immortals come out? That
That's
was
what I'm
another
looking
one of
up.
Henry Cavill's movies.
2011.
Oh,
So even
okay.
before
So,
Superman.
but yeah. So it was Immortals.
So I think Batman vs Superman came out around 2015, 16, somewhere in there. Yeah, so obviously this movie, I liked it a lot. We're probably going to talk about that quite a bit here in a little bit.
16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah, so I never had seen anything with Cavill in it besides Superman. So it was fun to watch him in a new role, in a different role.
Well, another quick side note, but Cavill related. So he's going to be in the new Netflix show, The Witcher.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that trailer?
about that.
So that's my favorite video game, or second favorite video game of all time, is the Witcher series. But the show's based on the books, which is written by a Polish author, Andrzej Sapkowski, however you say his name, whatever it is.
That's really an interesting name. Sorry.
Yeah, and so it's based on the book. There's like 8 books, and I've written the first 5. But no, I'm super pumped for the series, and
Sounds cool.
he plays the main character Geralt. So
He's a great actor,
Yeah.
man. He showed his range in this movie for me.
Yeah, I was just looking up some of his other movies because I couldn't think of anything. One of his first movies was The Count of Monte Cristo.
I
where
love
he was,
that movie.
I think he was like one of the
I
really
love that
small
movie.
side characters.
Yeah, he must have been really
he
little.
looks like completely different in Immortals. He had like his hair was just different than anything
Yeah.
else I've seen, and I remember just like not recognizing him in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so without any further ado,
Yeah.
we judge our movies based on 5 sections. The first section is idea/premise, which is basically just kind of the setup of the movie, when it takes place, what the goal of the movie is, the genre, that kind of stuff. For me, I thought it being set in the 60s was really cool. Obviously, it's based on a 60s TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that era. I think the Cold War is really interesting, and I think they really exploited that in this movie. I thought the different locations in Europe that they went to were really, really cool.
Yeah,
As far as the setup go, like they spent the first probably half the movie in Berlin, with East-West Berlin split by the wall.
Yep.
That was really cool. I thought the setup basically is these 2 spies who are arch enemies are forced to join forces.
Yeah, because it's Russia and America.
Right.
So I mean,
and
obviously,
I thought that was a really cool idea. Obviously, that's what the TV show sets up. But I thought the opening scene was incredible. The first 10 or 15
that
minutes.
was super fun.
Really
just like
awesome.
Henry Cavill being like that super suave, just like
Well,
he
because I
knows what's
thought
going
he
to
was going
happen.
to just
spy.
easily kill that guy.
Yeah, but then you like we know, but the characters don't know that that's
Right.
also another like super spy kind of guy.
Right. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I think you actually literally said wow or whoa or something whenever he came out of the car friggin' so fast and pulled the trigger twice.
Yeah.
And then the guy Army Hammer backed up fast enough
Yeah,
to
it was-
Yeah.
we were all like, oh,
He
that was
dropped
really cool.
his seat back or something.
yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of really cool stuff like that throughout the movie, but for me the setup of the movie was really, really solid. What'd you think?
It was for me this movie was really fun. It was a fun movie to watch. But the setup being, like you said, the 2 guys having to work together, but they don't like each other the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then we figure out later in the movie that another part of their mission is kill the American or kill the Russian if necessary or whatever it is. And so they're having to, like I said, they're working together, but their mission is also to kill each other in a way.
For sure.
But no,
Yeah,
those
they still have their main end goal.
Yeah, exactly. And the movie, the overarching plot, I think, is more about the characters than the story itself, really. Mm-hmm. Because we'll talk about more when we get to plot, but what you would think would be the climax of the story didn't feel too climactic.
Right.
And so, like, the end scene of them talking or whatever at the end, or of them, like, you know, re-establishing their mission, to me, that was the real climax.
At the very, very, very end in the hotel room. Yeah, for sure. I loved the setup, and then I loved how they, like, followed that up with even more layers throughout.
And then the fact that they pretty much covered their bases the whole way, because they'd do something and then you'd be like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or like they'd say something, you're like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and then they would come back to it a little bit later in the movie,
right?
And
I think
like,
it's partially Guy Ritchie's style. He does that a lot with, like, the really quick flashbacks, like almost instantly, just to fill you in. He does a great job with that. I think he does a great job.
Oh, another thing. So this movie, to me, focused more on the spy stuff than the action. Like, every time there was would be a significant action scene, he kind of like they montaged it a little bit and skipped over it. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that, it being more about the spy stuff than the action.
The movie could have been probably 30 to 45 minutes longer. If they wouldn't have montaged all those shots together. The only true fight scene, action scene, I guess there's two, was the first one, the open, and then the chase scene. They actually showed the majority of that action, which was interesting that they actually chose to show that instead of the fighting. They could have, like, easily montaged the chase scene, but they chose the other way around.
But that was actually my favorite part.
I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really, really cool. Yeah. So the idea / premise, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think for me, the premise could have been set up a little earlier, as far as the bomb and all that kind of stuff goes. I felt like they waited a long time to get to the main point of the plot. They could have set that up earlier. I think the general setup was really, really solid as far as getting the two characters established early on, making sure that they hate each other early on, and then flipping it, making them be friends. Not friends, I guess, teammates. But I feel like their mission wasn't made super clear until like 30, 45 minutes in. Yeah. And for me, that felt like a little too long. So that's why I docked it a couple points. But I think 8 is a solid score for that section. What'd you give it?
I wrote down 7, but I'm giving it a point. I give it 8. I talked myself into it because exactly what I said. Like, this was done differently. They skipped over it. Like, usually, like in the James Bond movies, the more recent, what's his name? Who plays James Bond now? Daniel Craig. The Daniel Craig ones, they show, like, the action scenes are a big part of the movie. And for this, I really loved how they focused on the spy stuff instead of the action stuff, and then them like having, like, setting up plot holes almost, but then covering it up. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of the I'm going to wait to get in that stuff, but no, 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Paul?
I actually gave it a 7. Just for a lot of the same reasons of it just didn't seem to, I thought it was too simple, honestly.
The setup?
Just the whole, and that's kind of also why I gave the plot a really actually low score. It just seemed familiar.
It was a little cliche, and get the bomb and defeat the bad guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that may just be what a lot of the show was. So they probably were very true to the show, but I mean, none of us have ever seen that. So just being as if this is all the context I have to go to with, I probably scored it lower.
Yeah.
Because of things like that.
It felt very 1960s to me.
Oh, it definitely
like a lot
did.
of stuff.
I think it was oversimplified in a lot of ways, and I think that was stylistic. I think that was part of the decision. Similar to the Hollywood.
Right. That's true. And I mean, you think about watching the old Bond movies. I mean, they were super simple. I mean, and so I get it, but I don't know. For being a 2015 movie.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Not everyone can write like Christopher Nolan, you know?
Oh, my God.
It was this movie's definitely like
I liked it. I thought
if it's on TV and I'm just chilling, I'll watch it and
more
stuff.
It's
a fun movie.
It was definitely a fun movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to character. I gave the character an 8 out of 10. Again, I think there were several things they could have done better as far as development of certain characters, but I also loved
development of who?
Several characters. So for me, the Russian character was the most interesting. I forget his name.
Ilyana.
Yeah. Adriana Grande. Ilyana Grande. He to me he was the most interesting character because of his weird like past and tempered tantrum self. And his like weird romantic tension with the girl and him becoming nice, actually liking the American character. Obviously, I loved Solo. I thought he was hilarious and great. I thought he was awesome.
Cavill was great.
He was awesome. Like, he carried the movie. But to me, the most interesting character, emphasis on the word interesting, was the Russian.
I agree with that. I think Armie Hammer actually, for me, carried the movie.
I think his character carried the movie.
Yeah.
As far as like the story and the interest level goes, and the tension and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that you can't deny that Henry Cavill was phenomenal, and his role, he killed it.
So
I thought he was great. He was funny, and he was almost like a Mark Wahlberg action comedy hero type of character who just like is awesome, but is also like really funny and clever.
Yeah,
and
he had the like cliche James Bond lines of like,
right.
I can't remember one off the top of my head, but it was just like the super cliche,
several like ladies' man's lines.
Like just like when the scene where they're turning on the bug and it's attached to her legs. He's like, "Sorry, is everybody all turned on now?" I was like, that's just a total
great
dry humor.
Oh, I loved it.
It was so
I loved
funny.
it. I thought he was great.
I see a lot of parallels between this movie and, to be honest, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, this is not as like near as good of a movie, but like the movie was more about the characters, and like you said, like. You loved it. We loved it when DiCaprio was on screen, but I think the more interesting character, to me at least, was Brad Pitt's character. And this one, it's like, you love seeing Henry Cavill's character on screen, but Armie Hammer's character was more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
I think them on screen together was dynamite. Like the scene when they break into the bank and they like open the
safe,
the vault and all that. Yeah.
Well, even when they're opening the fence,
and he pulls out the laser. Like, there were several things like that when they were on screen together. That was great.
It felt like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It felt like Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell on the other guys. That's what it felt like. Just spies and a little bit more serious, obviously. But I loved it. I thought the girl was really, really fascinating because like she seemed like a weird random character that had no interest at all other than her dad. Yeah. And then she turned out to be like at first you feel like she'd betrayed them and used them. She actually uses the word use them or whatever. Yeah. And then you find out that she's a British spy. You're like, what? But, so that goes all the way around.
But she's like a new British spy because they just recruited her or whatever. So they like twisted her up and like untwisted her and twisted her back.
I thought her story was really cool. I thought the villains were actually pretty cool. The guy who was like torturing.
So he was her uncle.
Told his story.
That was cool. That was creepy. And then they flipped it and put him in the chair. And then obviously
they ended up getting comedic relief there.
I thought the comedy in this movie was pretty good.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how funny it was.
I thought it was great.
There were multiple times where we just laughed out loud for minutes.
I love that scene because they're like having a really serious conversation, like facing this direction, and right in between them on screen is the torture chair.
Yeah,
it's like
catching
starts
on
to
fire.
smoke and then it starts to like burst into flames, and they just like they turn around. They're like,
because they're both like. We should probably kill him, and then they're like, well, maybe we like let him go or something.
And they turn around, and Armie Hammer says something like, "Well, I guess we should go." And then Henry Cavill like looks sad, and he's like, "Man, my jacket was in there." I thought that was hilarious. I was dying.
That was pretty good.
Oh gosh, he was great. So I think, honestly, I liked almost all of the characters. I feel like there were a couple of throwaway characters. That could have been a little bit more developed, like the blonde girl. She was like the evil villain. She was like the bad villain. Yeah. She was like the big bad. And to me, she was like, I didn't know she was the big bad until the very end. And even then I was like, is she really though? Yeah. And then her husband was like a total garbage character.
Even like their bosses of
the Russian guy,
the main Russian boss, and the main American
Jared
boss.
Harris. Yeah, I liked Jared Harris as an actor a lot, so I was hoping he'd have a bigger role, but he was kind of lame.
Well, again, it was more about the characters, I think, than the actual story.
So I gave it an 8 out of 10. What'd you give it?
I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the characters, as simple as they were. Like I thought they were all a lot of fun.
I thought the big three was really great.
Yep.
The guys and the girl. The other characters were all meh for me, except for the one villain.
The big three had
one villain
good
was
chemistry,
really
I
interesting, I thought. And obviously he had like that one scene that was interesting. Other than that, he was boring, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
What'd you think?
I actually gave it a 7.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely agree they were good and well done, but it just, I don't know. This movie, it just didn't really do it for me. I don't know. So I probably scored
That's
everything
still high, though. So it's a 7.
Seven's
Yeah,
still solid.
I mean, I do agree.
So who was your favorite?
My favorite character? Armie Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I think
great.
that's why I scored it so high. Because if his character hadn't been so interesting, I probably would have scored it like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought he was by far the most interesting.
Yeah.
But I did love every time Cavill was on stage or on screen,
Super
I guess.
fun.
Okay, so plot. Plot is going to be probably the area where we all are probably going to disagree the most, I would say. I liked it. I do agree with you that it is super simple, which I think we talked about that briefly already, but I feel like it's more of, it's set in the 60s and it's kind of got a 60s vibe. And so
it was supposed to be
I think
like
it was supposed to be
think.
simple and straightforward. Yeah. There were a couple of plot twists in there that I felt were big-ish. Obviously not like, oh my gosh, but it was like they were big enough to keep you guessing and keep you on your toes a little bit there at the end.
I didn't expect them because like the movie, like as simple as the movie was, like they do like throw a twist in there. I'm like, holy crap, like wow.
Yeah,
I thought there were
if
two
they
twists
hadn't
in
thrown
there.
a twist, I'd have been a little upset.
Yeah,
I thought there were two twists. I thought the first twist was when she said that like they did that flashback and when she like betrayed them or whatever and he had to like run away.
Yeah,
that was the first twist for me, and then the second twist was
that she was a spy.
That she was actually a spy, and they had to go back in and fix everything up because they messed it up or whatever. So to me, that was because I felt like the movie ended like 2 or 3 times, and it never actually did to the very end.
I felt that way too. Yeah,
which I didn't bother me. I just was like, what's happening? Like the plot, and it just kind of kept going.
Because I thought that was going to end after they catch him, the car flips, and they get the nuke, but it's like the fake nuke
the wrong
or
nuke.
whatever. I thought that was going to lead into
cool.
like a second movie or something.
I thought that was cool that it was the wrong nuke. But I do agree that it was a little bit overdone and overextended toward the end. I thought the stuff in the middle, the beginning and the middle, where they built up the characters while also building the plot, I thought was really solid.
Yeah.
The fun scenes in the middle, with the break-in scene, with the different shootouts and the different action stuff that they did.
The scene where they're getting chased in the boat, and then Henry Cavill falls out, and he goes and sits in the truck and starts like drinking. You see Armie Hammer out there riding around getting chased by the boat. That was awesome.
Out of nowhere, it's like the music's still playing, so you like have no idea what's happening, and it's like the friggin' semi truck just jumps in the water and smashes the boat. I wanted to get y'all's thoughts. We could talk about this during the cinematic elements section.
Yeah, I definitely have more thoughts in that section.
The music, I thought that was really interesting. So for me, I gave the plot an 8. I think you guys are going to convince me to probably lower that score down, but I think an 8's generous. I enjoyed the plot. I do think it was really simple, but for me, it kept me entertained and it kept me guessing. Even though it was really straightforward, I thought the end was interesting enough to keep it fresh, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
What'd you give it, Luke?
I gave it a 6. So it split into 2 ways for me. I would have given it lower, but I really loved the character plots that were in it.
Yeah. Like the different like sub stories that you would,
I liked their plot lines. The plot that they had to put in there to give them all a reason to be together is what I rated it low for. Like you said, it's super simple, which I mean, I think we can all agree it was supposed to be simple.
Yeah, it
wasn't supposed to be any complex like Skyfall or Spectre or anything.
Christopher Nolan.
But no, I'm like I enjoyed the plot. Like it was a easy watch that I didn't have to sit there and think through.
It was fun, and it was refreshing because I've been watching a lot of Tarantino, and it's just like,
yeah, you needed a refresher.
Yeah, so that was fun. I thought it was a fun, simple plot.
Yeah,
I agree with. Like, if you're gonna be like, it wasn't great, I'm not gonna argue with you.
Yeah.
What'd you score?
I gave it a 6 also for pretty much the exact same reasons.
Yeah. So I'd probably be out in the middle. I'd probably go down to a 7 for you guys.
Yeah, I could probably go up to 7, stay at a 6. I mean, like, the plot was okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the next section for me was where the movie either kind of was gonna
flop or it was going to kind of come together and make a pretty good movie out of it, which was the conflict, tension, and urgency. And I thought it did a really good job throughout the movie of specific scenes being really tense and having a lot of conflict happening at once, but also throughout the movie containing that conflict and maintaining it throughout and carrying it scene by scene by scene. So I thought on a small level, there were several scenes that were really, really tense. And then I thought overall, it just held on to that until the end, which I thought was great. What do you guys think?
For conflict, I think what really drove it to me was that they are enemies working together, and so
constant conflict.
So there's tension between them. So that's kind of what really drove it for me is like having two conflicting people having to work together, which it's not anything new. This has been done in movies dozens and dozens and dozens of times, but like it still works on me to create that conflict and tension.
And I thought the romantic tension was really solid between Hammer and
Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Between the guy and the guy.
Alicia Vikander, Armie Hammer.
Alicia Vikander, that's her name. Yeah.
But something I liked about the romance is like I didn't mention this in the plot, but it felt like they really kept to the important parts of the movie, which was the spy stuff. So like I said, they kind of glossed over the fight stuff, and then they only implied the romance stuff. Really. Right. Like
they had several scenes where they like almost kissed or almost did whatever, but it was never really.
But even in the one where like he's in there, they're like, "This is complimentary champagne," and she's, he says something about 5 minutes.
With Henry Cavill. With Henry Cavill,
and he's like, "I know what we can do with 5 minutes," and then it just like cuts to something else, and it's like a lot of it's implied, and so that along with the fight scenes they glossed over, and they just kept to the important stuff, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was great.
I liked how they contrasted. I like how they contrasted Henry Cavill's like playboy James Bond, with girls like personality to Armie Hammer's character, who seems like he would never have a girlfriend. He's like too cold and too evil and too whatever. Yeah. But he like slowly started falling for.
He's a little awkward too, I think.
Yeah, and he's weird and he's kind of creepy, and you're like, I don't want to root for this guy. But then at the end, you're like, oh my gosh, kiss the girl, right? Yeah. And he missed it, like the
bell guy came
or whatever. In. Yeah. Which I'm sure if they made another movie, they'd probably flesh that out more. But I thought that was really interesting. Like that romantic tension, I thought was another layer of that conflict and tension that they carried on. For me, the urgency was pretty solid. It wasn't great, but the last 30 minutes or so I thought felt pretty urgent as far as the bomb and everything.
Yeah. So, they really kicked it up because like in between that, it just felt like a lot of like doing this, doing that. So, like it was like I was having a great time, but I felt I didn't feel that much urgency at the beginning or the end. Like, or there's the end, the last like 30 minutes, I felt urgency. Like, oh, they gotta blow her up before they get the nuke to the submarine or whatever.
Yeah, that was cool too that they used her nuke to blow the boat up. I thought that was a cool scene.
That was pretty funny.
And he like kept her on the line just so
they can. And then because they can. Good. And then they did like a callback to all the things that were happening. Like they just showed snippets of stuff, and they're like. I don't know. It was really cool. It was a cool way of doing that.
So I gave that section a 9 out of 10. I thought that was a really, really well done section. And I think that's true for most of Guy Ritchie movies. I thought he did a great job with that stuff. What did you guys think?
I give it 8.
An 8?
Yeah, I thought it was. I don't know if like I didn't really realize a whole lot of it until we sat here and talked about it, but I think there was a lot more tension and than what I thought. It was a lot of simplistic tension along with everything else in the movie. How simple it was.
So for me, I thought the first scene was really, really great. The tension between those two guys, because the more the scene went on, the more you respected the Russian following him.
Yeah,
he had a scene where he did the zip line. He had a scene where he climbed the thing like. No problem. He dodged the bullet. That was really cool. He shot the tire from really pretty far away. Yeah. He tore the back off the car, chased the car down. Like I thought like he was really cool and impressive.
Yeah. Because they set up Cavill already to be impressive within like the first minute of it.
So that was cool. I thought the other really tense scene in the movie was the very end, whenever they're in the hotel scene and you're like, oh my gosh, one of these guys about to die, or flat like Tarantino style, they're both about to die.
Yeah.
Shoot each other. So that was really tense. And then obviously they just like cut, and you're like,
because you like them both.
You like
I don't want either of you to die.
And so then at the end they cut, and you're like, well, I guess one of them died. And then they go to the rooftop, and they're both there like burning the thing, and
they decided to work together. And, yeah.
Well, he tossed him his dad's watch too, because that was the little
that was
the
the
detail.
That was the icebreaker. Yeah.
Which they show you when Cavill sees that earlier, so it's like it's not like he just randomly got it and he's like, "Oh, I picked it up off a dead guy." Like they have like every bit of it. They showed you why and what. Which yeah.
Another Guy Ritchie thing, which I really like, is all the little random shots that he has throughout the movie of little things
all
that
tie in together. Yep.
There's one more scene I wanted to bring up that was really tense. I can't think of now. But anyway, I loved the tension in this movie because I thought it came and went because of the humor. Like the humor like cut the tension out, but at the same time it never got rid of it because the very next scene after a funny scene would be a really intense scene.
Yep.
So they did a great job as far as that stuff goes. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, so I gave it an 8 also because, I mean, I think for me, the conflict and tension just carried it the whole movie, like you said, just because of them being on opposite sides the whole time.
Yeah,
like when they're when they're breaking in and like those two guards are coming in, they're like, "Oh, you got to unlock this right now." Or that was a pretty. I mean, not as intense, but I mean, just even little tense scenes like that were things.
I thought there were several scenes where them working together almost it definitely added tension, but it almost made it like over the top to where. Like the scene where the guy like walks by with the watch and he thinks it's his dad's watch, but it's not, and he like is like Cavill's like trying to tell him to stay, but he doesn't stay. Things like that. I thought there were several times where he keeps saying like, "Don't question my methods" or whatever, and he like keeps popping up randomly like on the moped or like out of nowhere. Like that was great. The bugs, I thought the bugs were really funny.
That was a funny bit
where he counting the bugs and he says these are all Russian made and whatever.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, these are American or whatever.
And then he comes out with his own bugs that he's like,
yeah, that was great. Okay, the fifth and final section is cinematic elements. For us, we consider anything cinematic as far as acting, the script, the cinematography, the score of the movie, stunts, CGI, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So we kind of lump all those things into one section. For me, I thought the writing for this movie was really pretty good. Not necessarily great, but I thought it was pretty solid. I thought the stunts were really, really cool and well done. Didn't feel like they were fake or CGI. Thought they like legit did mostly all that stuff.
Yeah.
I thought the acting was phenomenal. You guys disagree with any of that?
No, I mean, I agree. I thought there was never a moment with the script where I was like, ooh. Like, there's like, for instance, like the Netflix movie I watched, Always Be My Maybe. There was definitely a bunch of times in that movie I was like, ooh, that was not good writing.
Yeah.
But this one I was like, there's never a point where I was just like, oh my gosh, please stop.
Right.
But I thought a lot of I thought there was some really cool shots with the cinematography. There's a scene at the very beginning where there's that tension of where he's like, just hum if he's like doing this, like does he have one hand on the wheel? And she goes and then he's like reaching for his gun at that point, and the camera moves down like with his hand which is really cool.
There were several things of cinematography that I thought were really really cool.
They had that camera attached to the vault. Whenever he opened the door, it swung.
That
and
was
it swings
really
to
cool.
Changes to Army Hammer. That was cool.
That was really cool.
So I think for me, a lot of this movie was nothing was great or outstanding, but a lot of it was like I think you said solid. Like I'd compare this is a weird comparison, but for me the movie Hitch is just a solid movie. Like if it's on on TV, like I might own it. If it's on TV, I'll watch it. I enjoy my time with it.
Yeah.
So I'd compare it to that kind of thing. But what do you think, Paul?
Yeah. So this section is what definitely carried the movie for me. Like if this section hadn't been very good, I probably would really hate this movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even I think the cinematography really carried it for me. Like we were saying with the scene where the dude's burning in the background, like all the background shots are what really like that.
The scene of him in the truck.
Yeah, when you see it's a shot of Cavill and it's a reflection of the windshield, and you see the boats and everything. Like that was so cool.
That was awesome.
I loved how they did that. Another really awesome part of this movie was the music, was the score.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that because a lot of the action, like probably 50%, maybe 2/3 of the movie's action scenes were all without sound effects because the music was over it. So I wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on that because there were moments when I appreciated it because it was either it made it funny or it took the kind of the sting out. But it also, to me, there were moments that hurt it. I thought I would have preferred to have seen the action from like a traditional like explosion and bullets and stuff. But
I kind of liked it just because it was different.
It changed that for sure.
Because, well, and I mean, even just like the parts where, where they're having to rush back because they just got into the vault and the head girl is figuring out because she called their rooms and the music is getting loud and it's playing and she gets to the door and opens the door and it cuts just immediately and like it's cool. Just to add that level of tension. But I loved this is really the only note that I took. I love the transition shots from like where but it also had the music, and it really made me think of like the Ocean's movies because it was like it would have like different transition shots with really cool instrumental music, and it would just be I mean it's not identical music, but it just I don't know something about that like clicked for me of like when they go to Rome and it like pops up Rome on the screen and then it's the music and everything for a few seconds and it just that was the best part of the movie for me.
I also thought the set that they had going or the vibe that the whole 60s thing, it kind of felt like it was a very bright and colorful like 60s environment, which I thought
like the Tourist
was pretty
is
cool.
What it felt like, honestly.
Did
it? It looked like it.
It did. I would agree.
There were certain shots and colors and it being in Rome, I think, helped it because obviously the whole movie happens in Italy for the tourists. But the other thing that I really liked about this was the humor. Like we already talked about this a little bit, but to me, like a classic spy movie has no humor. Maybe one or two jokes.
It's just the dry humor. The Cavill humor.
But this movie was funny, man. I laughed out loud probably 4 or 5 times.
Oh yeah.
Or more, and probably chuckled a lot more than that. But I probably laughed every 5 or 10 minutes in this movie. Like I don't know about you guys, but I thought this movie was hilarious, and to me it didn't bother me. Like I thought I would hate it because it was funny, and I didn't want a spy movie to be funny. Yeah, but I thought it was great.
Well, those scenes didn't come across as trying to like force humor or something,
right?
To me, a lot of it, like the humor made sense.
Well, and it was all rooted in his personality of being a spy and being I don't want to be here, but I am here, and so I'll make the most of what I'm doing, and I'll have fun while I'm doing it. Yeah. And like screw you guys while I do it, and I'll just like have fun. Yeah. And that was kind of his personality and his attitude the whole time. And then you compare that to the Russian guy who's there for his family's honor and his country's honor.
Very
and he
serious,
just like is going to destroy anything in his path. Right? Yeah. And those two guys like butt heads the whole time, and you see their personalities clash.
Yeah, because they're kind of like opposites. Of
exactly,
each other.
And they pick on each other. I love the nicknames they had for each other and all the little sly comments they made toward each other.
Cowboy, I liked when he called him a cowboy.
Yeah, that was great. The picking the lock was funny. He told him not to pick the lock, and right before that, he's like clipping one chain at a time. He like goes with the laser. Yeah, so I thought that was really great. I thought that was an added bonus to the movie was the humor. For me, if it wouldn't have been funny, this movie would have been okay. The humor to me raised it a whole notch or two.
Well, and the gadgets in different styles, I thought that was cool because it showed a different because they are in different like spy organizations or whatever, and so it just showed the differences and stuff. I thought that was cool. Yeah. I want to bring up a point about the fight scenes again. The mashups for me, like when you think about it, like how much are like the James Bond movies or some of the like Mission Impossible of just them killing like nameless goons. And so, like, for me, there's just, like, glossed over that, and it got to the part where, the parts where they killed him, the important people were the parts that they spent time on. So the killing of the bad guy, or bad chick's husband, the killing of her, like, those were all bigger moments than what, like, just them getting to them was. And so, for me, they just, like, they skipped over all the nameless goons that nobody cares about. Sure, those scenes could be cool, but how much do they add to the movie?
Yeah, see, to me, that's where a lot of movies go wrong. Like The Expendables. Have you seen those movies?
I've seen the first one.
So I like The Expendables. I like those movies a lot. I do too. Yeah. I think they're great. But they're not great at the same time. And
Yeah.
a lot of that is because they're just fun popcorn movies. They just watch a bunch of action heroes kick some booty.
That's right. Terry Crews with a big old shotgun blowing people away.
Yeah.
I love the scene of
part.
Bruce Willis and is it Bruce Willis? I forget, but it's Terminator, and he's like got the machine gun. He's got in the Prius, and they're like driving.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Anyway, so to me, most spy movies take themselves too seriously, and some of them deserve it. Like Skyfall 100% deserves to do that because that movie is so good and it's so well written. But to me, like this movie, like very easily could have gone in that direction and been like, this is going to be an awesome movie. We got two really big, athletic, good-looking leads.
Yeah.
We're going to just blow some stuff up and have some awesome action. And they did, but they chose, I think, really, really wisely to go in a different direction. I thought that really, really helped the movie.
I wonder if for a lot of people that hurt the movie. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
I think a lot of people would have walked away from that with the bad taste in their mouth. Because it would have felt like Rush Hour-ish, you know?
Yeah. I kind of compared it to Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon's a good comparison. I
because-
kept thinking of Get Smart. Is what I kept thinking
Yeah,
of.
Get Smart also, yeah.
Like a little
But
bit
to
more
me-
serious, Get Smart.
But it was better. It was more serious than Get Smart. It was way better written. There was much more happening than Get Smart. It was probably less funny than Get Smart, obviously, but
It was supposed to be like a lighthearted spy movie, not
Yeah.
just like a comedy spy movie.
right.
Right.
It wasn't supposed to be like the other guys. You know,
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be an action comedy. It was supposed
It
to
wasn't
be an
supposed to be
action
Get Smart
movie.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be an action movie. It just happened to be funny because the characters were funny.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think is great. I love that kind of humor. I hate humor that's forced, and it's like they clearly just wrote this line to be a punchline. They didn't actually let the actor, be funny on screen.
No, yeah. Which
Go Ragnarok.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons I don't like Ragnarok. Is because I feel like it's trying too hard.
you punch the button.
No, seriously though, like to me, that's why I like Guardians more than I like Ragnarok, or that's why I like Ant-Man more than I like Ragnarok, or even Endgame is funny, but it's not funny because it tries to be funny. It's just funny because of the characters and the situation that they put the characters in.
That's just how the characters are. It's not like they're sitting there trying to force
Tony
jokes.
Stark being a jerk and having funny nicknames for everyone will always be funny because that's his nature. That's his character. Chubby Thor was really funny. I think that was kind of a one-time funny thing that they cashed in on. But see, Ragnarok to me is just
Like
we're way off topic. But
Yeah,
I
that
can
was a
totally-
Marvel
totally
rant for
believe-
the episode.
those are pretty standard for each episode.
But yeah, so I thought the comedy helped this movie a lot. The last
Yeah.
thing I want to say on this section, which you guys can agree or disagree, I thought the Guy Ritchie like weird like skip aheads and then almost within 5 minutes flashback to
Yeah, quick flashback.
Fill in the blanks.
fill in the blanks. Like
Yeah.
I loved that, and I thought that helped this movie a ton because they did that probably 3, 4, 5 times in really important scenes, like not just like fun scenes. They did that in really important, like actually moving the plot forward kind of scenes.
Well, a lot of it was so you're seeing it from the character's kind of point of view. So whenever
from one point of view, the camera's only looking at one person rather than looking at the scene.
Yeah.
And then the flashback shows you
What's
the
what was
alternate
actually
angle or
happening.
whatever.
Yeah, like the scene where Cavill's on the phone, like
and
he's sitting there
on the
talking,
boat.
but then he's hearing like what they're yelling behind him, but he's only hearing snippets of it, and then it leads up to something. Then they go back to show you what was actually going on. So they showed you from a certain character's point of view,
Right.
and then it went back and filled in the blanks. And so I think much like the scene where Alicia Vikander's character is at that house and she's meeting her uncle and the bad guy, and she's like, you think she's like betraying him and stuff. Like I used them to get here. I think are you seeing that from Armie Hammer's point of view in that moment? Are you seeing that? Who's
Which scene?
the one where she's at the house and she's like, I used them, and Armie Hammer's like in the bushes with the headphones on.
And where it cut like her mic
they
cuts.
I think to me that was her, like, I was looking at her from like a limited perspective, either from her own perspective or from Armie Hammer's perspective.
Yeah, I think it was more of an Armie Hammer thing because the camera focuses on him. You just don't hear the audio that he's hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Which was really cool.
So it cuts from that scene to her or to him running through the woods, and you're
Yeah.
like, "What the heck?
Like, what just happened?"
And then it cuts back, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
The dogs are chasing him. Yeah, because there's a lot
and
of
that's
stuff.
that's where we all got confused because the dude's also like peeling a grape, and we're like, "What's this grape going on?"
Yeah.
But
I had no idea what the grape was
We were
about.
just looking too deep into that because that's when I think that was one of the first real
when he says
flashbacks.
He says, "I'll make a phone call." I'm like, well, okay. And then he actually calls what's her face, and it ends up being really important.
So those parts of the movie were great.
I thought that was a really genius thing for them to do, and so I think to me, I gave that section a 10 out of 10. That's probably too high, but I love Guy Ritchie movies in general. I love his style, and I thought all of those elements combined, the writing, the acting, the stunts, the cinematography, the humor, the music, the flashbacks, like I think all of those things combined deserve a 10 out of 10 in my opinion.
Yeah, I get it. I gave that section a 7. Just I don't know, the 7 felt solid for like the cinematic. We just talked and I only had good things to say about it, but I think a lot of I've mentioned this before, but I said the movie's good, not great, and I feel like all those cinematic moments were good, not great, and that for that it deserves a 7.
Wasn't over the top awesome.
Yeah, but they were still all good.
Which I agree with that. I think a 10 out of 10 is too high. I think honestly, I'm a little bit biased, like recency bias, because we literally just watched it.
Right.
I'm probably higher on it right now than I will be tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're a 7, I'm a 10. I'd probably come down to like an 8 or a 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I have it at a 9.
A 9.
Mainly because of the cinematography and the music.
Yeah.
Those two things carried it. For
And
me.
it was a combination of 60s songs and like actual like traditional score from a film. And so I loved how they did both of those things with the radio, and they did different things like that. I thought that was really cool. So that brings me to a 43 out of 50, which is stinking high. I didn't realize it was that high until I just added it up. So that's a 86 out of 100 and 8.6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Pretty high. Probably too high. But I stand by that. It's probably an 8 out of 10.
These are our personal
for
preferences.
me.
I mean,
I think an 8 out of 10 is solid. I think I'm at an 86 right now, so I wouldn't go that high. I'd probably say it's more like an 8.1, 8.2, somewhere in there. What'd you say, Luke?
I give it a 37. So for me, this
solid.
is
I did a 37 as well.
Yeah, that's solid.
It's a tier 2 movie, definitely not a tier 1.
Yeah,
I don't think it's definitely deserves of a tier 3, but I think it's a solid middle point for a movie.
To me, you guys agree, disagree? To me, well, okay, so we're just going to jump into the meta questions because this is my first meta question, is which tier is the movie? So for us, tier 1 is like top 25 to top 50 movies of all time. Own it, watch it once every year or two.
The Dark Knight,
movies like that. Tier 2 is going to be movies that you may or may not own, but you definitely watch again, either on Netflix or wherever it comes out. Tier 3 is like, maybe watch it again once in your lifetime, Redbox or something. And then tier 4 is like, nah, probably not. Heat for me. But so for me, Paul likes Heat. For me, this isn't tier 1. I wouldn't put it in my top 25 for sure. Wouldn't put it probably in my top 50.
Top 75, though.
Yeah, maybe top 100 or 75. I don't want to spend the time to make that list.
Holy cow.
That'd be miserable.
That episode will also be like 5 hours long.
That too. So I'd put this in tier 2 with you guys. I think I might actually go on Amazon later tonight and buy this movie.
If you can find it.
On Blu-ray. Yeah, for $1 apparently. Yeah. Or go to Vintage Stock and get it cheap.
Heck yeah, man.
But I liked it a lot. I totally would see myself owning this and watching it with my family once every year or two. I think that's the kind of movie it is for me. What do you guys think? Tier 2, tier 3, somewhere in there?
I just said it, but yeah, tier 2, for sure. Like I had a lot of fun watching it. The humor for me was great. None of it was like how you feeling like a Will Ferrell movie, like or an Adam Sandler movie. Like a lot of those just feel the same. I thought the humor in this was kind of original, and it felt nice. I thought it was very refreshing in the style it was filmed in, the way the story was told, the way the characters interact, and having honestly Henry Cavill's just performance was really refreshing for him as a character as well, because his Superman character is incredibly serious.
Oh yeah,
boring.
I know the Witcher one. That one's going to be another serious role, which I'm definitely going to watch the crap out of.
Right.
Him in Immortals was serious.
Yep.
Him in pretty much everything he's been serious. And this one, it was just such a joy to watch. Yeah. And Armie Hammer was great in it. Of course, I thought the style of humor that his character came off as having, and just the conflict and the tension between the characters, the simplicity of the plot was great. It didn't melt my mind. I didn't do my mind like SpongeBob would do or anything, like where it's just so dumb or anything. But I thought this was a great middle point for a movie where it was just, like I said, it's like Hitch. It's like I'll watch it if it's on TV. It's a fun watch. I'll own it. It was worth the $6 I bought it for.
Yeah,
I think this might be one of your meta questions, but I think this might be a extremely underrated movie.
I do think it's really underrated. I'd never even heard of the movie before, and I gave it a 43 out of 50, which is pretty high. I mean, I don't know how many movies we reviewed, like 12 or 13, but...
Well, it's got a decently low
it's up there for me
Rotten Tomatoes
done.
score. The box office wasn't great for it.
Yeah. I do think it's really underrated. I wouldn't put it in my top 5 underrated movies, but I do think...
I was about to say...
really, really underrated.
I was just gonna say it's underrated. Because I almost said is it in your top 5 like most underrated movies, but there's definitely more. But
I think my next question is for you guys. Would you put this? We did obviously for our rotating segment, we did our top 5 spy movies. Would you guys put this in your top 10 spy movies?
I put it in my top 15.
Top 15. For me, it goes in my top 5 simply because it's unique.
Yeah, I totally get why you put it in there.
I obviously I probably could put 3 or 4 Daniel Craig movies in there. Probably put all 3 Bourne movies in there.
A lot of the
probably
Mission
put
Impossibles.
2 Mission Impossible, maybe 3 Mission Impossibles in there. So I liked it a lot because it was so unique. And so for me, it's definitely a top 10 spy movie of all time. But I totally see why people don't necessarily think that.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I mean, that's tough. I don't think I would put it even in like top 25 because I mean, I could say every Bond movie, in my opinion, is better than this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, I do like it because it's different.
It's just really weird. And for a spy movie, it's unique.
I'm kind of like Luke. I don't know that I probably won't buy this movie, but if it's on and I'm like, oh, Man from U.N.C.L.E. Okay, yeah, I'll watch the last 30 minutes of it if whatever, you know. But yeah.
So my last meta question for tonight is: should they make a sequel? / if they did, would you want to watch the sequel? So first question: should they make a sequel?
I would love for them to, because they set it up to be, because like this is like almost like them forming the Avengers in a way. They're like, now you guys are the organization called U.N.C.L.E. And so I'd love for just at least like one more movie, just have it be just a duo of just them as like the U.N.C.L.E. organization doing their thing, doing whatever, because I think they definitely set it up to where there could be, but they also set it up to where they can't be. So they didn't. Right. I don't think they really like wrote themselves into a corner or anything with that. But
and see, to answer the question, I don't think they will. I mean, if they did, I might watch it like on Redbox or whatever. But I kind of wonder if, and I'm gonna have to research this later because I couldn't find it immediately. I wonder if this was kind of a prequel to the show. Whereas, like, in the maybe first episode of the show, they are in the U.N.C.L.E. organization.
That's an interesting take. I didn't know
and that maybe this is the formation of the team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
I wonder if that's where that went.
Yeah.
And so the sequel would be the TV show.
Yeah. That sounds like a really cool idea. I don't
think the fanfare is there for it.
No, it's definitely not. I think it'd be a waste of time and money for them to make a sequel. I would definitely watch it if they made it. If it was the same people with Guy Ritchie. Yeah. If they got a different director and they tried to reboot it with different people, no, I'm not going to probably go watch it. That's a really interesting take that it leads into the TV show.
I just wonder.
That would make sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Feels that way to me.
So that's all I've got for tonight, boys.
Yeah. I actually have one. I thought of one.
Go for it.
Best Guy Ritchie movie?
No.
For me, no. I love the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yeah.
I think those are his best.
Top 5?
I would say top 5. I have not seen the King Arthur movie that he made. I want to see that one for sure.
He did Aladdin, huh?
Yeah, he did Aladdin. That was what I was going to bring. I was like...
And I have not seen Aladdin, and I probably will not see that. I like Snatch a lot. It's a really good movie. But Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2 for me are 1 and 2 for Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, agreed.
I'd probably put this 3, honestly. Snatch is in there.
I just thought that was kind of a fun.
Yeah,
I had to look up those other movies.
Aladdin is. I hope he doesn't do any more projects like that. I don't know how he got roped into that one.
No, I think this will probably be my second favorite Guy Ritchie movie. I'll put one of the Sherlock Holmes in front of him. I'm not sure which one, but I think this one probably falls at number 2.
Yeah.
I just like Guy Ritchie's style. I want to watch the King Arthur movie.
He does have a unique style.
Yeah,
I love the Sherlock Holmes movies. They're making a third one. I'm really excited for it.
I'm glad Robert Downey Jr. is not tied up with all the Marvel stuff anymore. As great as he was as Iron Man, I'm excited for what he's going to do now that he's not tied up at Marvel.
Yeah, I'm glad for his career to continue. And like I just saw an ad again, Marvel rant, on Netflix for a new Chris Evans movie that's a Netflix original that I don't even remember what it was. I just saw it in passing, but I was like, oh, I'm just glad that they're doing other things. You know what I'm saying?
Trailer.
Yeah, it's that action one that he's in, right? Because he's doing Knives Out with Ryan Johnson.
Yeah. I do want to see that too. That looks interesting.
Oh, that's like the murder mystery.
Yeah,
with
Daniel Craig.
It's like
Craig is a redneck.
And what did Chris Evans call him? The Sherlock KFC or something or other.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Oh, CSI KFC.
That's what it was. KFC. Yeah, that's pretty good. That looks really funny.
Yeah,
Ryan Johnson. For as much heat as he gets for episode 8, I thought he's done a good job on a bunch of different projects.
Have
I
you
think
seen
that'll
Looper?
be good. Yeah, I love Looper.
That's my favorite Ryan Johnson.
Well, he tried to do something different with 8, and people in Star Wars just don't want different.
I like certain moments in that movie, which we will, like I said last time, or maybe 2 times ago, we'll get into the Star Wars episode 8 chat later when we comes with episode 9.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Random thought for the ride home, y'all. Have you guys seen the trailer for The Irishman? The Martin Scorsese.
I know what it is. I saw some screenshots for it, but I haven't watched the trailer.
It's
with Robert De Niro.
It's Robert De Niro, Al Pacino,
Joe Pesci.
Oh, perfect.
And Joe something.
Pesci, right?
Yeah, it is Pesci.
Pesci's getting old.
And it's a movie called The Irishman, and apparently it's a Netflix original, but it's also going to come out in theaters. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Interesting.
But it's Scorsese, so I'm sure there's going to be 400 F words. And it's about the mob in the Northeast somewhere.
Yeah.
And apparently they're like rigging elections and like all up in like American politics, and a bunch of stuff goes down. I have no idea. It looks really confusing, but it looks cool. I like mob movies, so I'll definitely watch it when it comes out. But I didn't know if you guys had seen the trailer or watched anything about it.
I'll have to watch the trailer.
It looks interesting. I mean, Scorsese movies never look great in the trailers because there's just so much going on.
I remember seeing the Departed trailer and I was in.
Really? I love The Departed. That's a great movie. I just like these trailers are traditionally just like full of just random stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it does say Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Al Pacino's playing Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
So it's based on like
the guy who kills Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah, I just read the little
based
synopsis.
on true stuff. So
Harvey Keitel, the guy that's in all the Tarantino movies.
I like that actor a lot.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
I liked Reservoir Dogs. We didn't talk about that very much earlier, but we should probably be done for the night.
Well, let's see what movie we're reviewing next time.
Yeah, go for it.
So the next movie we're reviewing is the 2014, 2013 movie Whiplash.
Yeah.
It is with
J.K. Simmons.
Yep, J.K. Simmons. It has Miles Teller in it, who plays a student. The movie came out in, hold on, let me get this correct, 2014. It's directed by Damien Chazelle. Screenplays by the same guy. It won a bunch of Academy Awards. J.K. Simmons got pretty much swept all of the Best Supporting Actor awards for it, which is great. Best Sound Mixing. He got one of the Best Editing. It won 3 Academy Awards. So it's a short movie, but yeah, Whiplash. Check it out. We'll be reviewing that next.
I'm excited to watch it. I've never seen it before. I'd actually never heard of it before.
I haven't heard of it. Yeah.
You brought it up in your top 25, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember right, that's when you first mentioned it, and then we decided to review it next. So
yeah,
I'm excited to watch it. I like J.K. Simmons a lot.
Yeah, he's pretty great at it. There definitely a lot of F-bombs, but like from him, just because he's just like the angry person of a teacher. But it's I love it. I don't know if it's everyone's cup of tea, to be honest, but
interesting.
I really like it.
You liked Annihilation, and that turned out not great. So
Well, hey,
you didn't like it. I guess you just recommended it.
2/3 of it.
You recommended it. For me.
Like, I'm never gonna watch it again.
Callie was like, never listen to Luke again. I was like, well, I kind of have to listen to him. We do this. we do this show together about movies.
Yeah.
She was like, I guess that's true, and I was like, yeah, I'll just tell him that he was wrong about that one. Which I guess he wasn't wrong. We agree on that one, but
yeah.
So watch Whiplash for episode 17.
Yep. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.
All right, we recording now.
Hey y'all.
Hey,
I'm like 99% sure this is the shirt I wore last time we were
I'm pretty sure it is too, actually.
Yeah, it is.
I wish
Roll the tape.
I wish the timestamp would say what time it is, because I'm gonna get drowsy. But I will
Yeah, I got
pretend to be
10:05.
So you got
peppy.
time right here. You
Oh,
can see
solid.
it.
My phone also keeps the time, you guys.
Are
You
we?
have your phone right in front of you.
Yeah, I can check there or my watch, either one.
You are already disoriented.
I'm very tired. That's okay.
Hey, well, we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
D means blah 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 blah. You know.
Great. Sounds.
Oh, that's the blooper reel right there. For sure.
Luke's side eye might be my favorite part of this podcast ever. Like literally just like. Like you literally looked like it was a horror film. You were like.
You'll have to pull that up before we leave, and we'll.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I can get
Like that might be the most popular video we ever posted to YouTube ever. Is that blooper reel?
That blooper.
for sure.
And then you put it in slow motion and cropped his face.
Yeah.
So good. Okay.